All right. So, in almost any interview for the MBA, for even executive programs, anytime you are applying to a school, at the end of the interview, most interviewers, almost all interviewers, will ask you this question. Do you have any questions for me? Now, this is the one place, this is the end of your interview. Your official interview is over, so to speak. And you can still kind of kill your chances here. Extremely important question. You want to be able to show your interest in the school, a genuine interest into the school. You want to be able to show that you also want to show that you've done your homework. So you can't ask generic questions. You can't ask questions about the program. What should I ask? This is a topic that I've had to answer many times to many students. And I'm going to give you some tips now, another couple of hacks here that you can use based on my experience. All right. So if you are having an interview, remember there are three different types of people that you're going to have an interview with. One is adcom, another is alumni, or the third one is current students or second year students, depending on the school that you're applying to. So let's start off with the alumni. What should you ask? All right, here's the big one. Here's my favorite one. Okay. What I tell students to ask is, what do you miss most from your MBA experience? It's actually the same exact thing as asking, what did you like the most from your MBA experience? However, there is an emotional trigger. Now, back in my college major, which is psychology, we did a class study on human behavior. And we realized that whenever you have an experience, whenever you're sharing your experience, answering a question that has an emotional trigger in it, it always puts the listener in that experience that the speaker is narrating. If you ask an alumnus, what did you like the most from your MBA experience? You'll probably get a generic answer. I liked everything. Wow, there's a couple of things that were great, this and that. That's about it, though. But if you ask that same question with an emotional trigger, which is, what do you miss the most from your MBA experience? Oh man, I've had counts of students telling me that the interviewers told them about their life story, about how they met their spouses at school, and all the great classes. And 45-minute interviews have gone up to 2 hours long in duration. I think that was the record time length for a student was 2 hours and 15 minutes long for his interview. Because he asked this question, he said that they ended up talking about so many other things for another hour. He also even got a job offer by the interviewer in the event he wasn't accepted into the school. Or in the event he decided to change his mind or something, or even to have networking contact upon his return, because he had been interested in working in the same consulting line. So he got a job offer, and that was pretty cool. He already has a job after his interview, mainly because of this question. Now, that emotional trigger, that actually put him into the same experiences as the interviewer. And why is that important? It's extremely important because you create a genuine connection with the interviewer. And that's what I was talking about back in establishing rapport. You want to create a connection. It's not just about showing. It's not about impressing. Like, you don't want the interviewer just to think of you like, oh, wow, what a great candidate. No, you want the interviewer, him or her, to be thinking about you like, wow, this is someone I can actually open up a business with. He's a great guy, great person. I can definitely see myself meeting him at a bar, for a happy hour, for a few drinks, just to talk about other stuff. That's the type of connection that you want. To take that a step further, by creating these types of connections, remember what I said. We like people who are like us or people who we like to become. If that person is like us and we tend to like them, we come, talk with them. Immediately in the interviewer's mind, he sets you, he can see you on campus talking to the people around the school that he so genuinely loves. And advocates for. Usually when alumni actually conduct interviews, once they leave their MBA programs, it's basically because they want to pay it forward, they want to give back to the school, and they want to contribute to the community and make sure that some of the coolest cats out there in the candidacy pool are making it into the schools of their experience, of their life experience. With this emotional trigger, have you ever noticed? Here's a real life way to test this emotional trigger. Do you remember was there any time in your life when you were talking to somebody or a group, in a group setting, and somebody said, "Wow, I feel like I've known you forever. I feel like I've known you from somewhere. I feel like I know you." Don't get me wrong. That's not. It can be used as a cheesy pickup line. Some guys use that as a cheesy pickup line. But I'm talking about the real deal here. I'm talking about when somebody really feels connected to you. Remember back to what you guys were talking about, and you will see that there was an emotional trigger in that question, or it was an emotionally charged answer. Or even do this from now on, from this day forward. Anytime somebody says that to you, remember exactly what you were talking about immediately before or during that conversation. You'll see that there was an emotional trigger. That's how you make a connection. That's how you get that person to remember you forever, ever. All right? So use that question. That usually leads into other follow-up questions, and that's the only one that's the only one that you probably will need for an alumnus interview or an interview with an alumnus. Just ask them, what do you miss the most? And then from there, you can kind of get into more personal questions. A question you should never ask to any of the interviewers would be like, do you really feel like this case study method was effective for you? Or do you really feel like, never bring in the negative light. You're not probing here, okay? It's the other way around. You are the one that's supposed to be probed in the best sense possible. You don't want to call, the same way you're not going to call your brother or your sister's child ugly, you never want to call an MBA program's style or methodology terrible or question it. Okay, so don't do that. Second year students, second year students are the easiest ones because you can just ask them, what are you enjoying the most? What kind of tips would you give me? What did you expect from the school, and how much of your expectations were met? And what was it like? What was your first year like? What should I expect? What can I avoid? What should I watch out for? Those are some great questions. Now, out of all three, the hardest one to ask questions to is the admissions committee or the admissions officers, anyone from admissions. It's very difficult because they've been doing it for so long. They've done it so many times, and they hear all the same questions all the time, and they're answering constant questions. Also, you can't ask them program specific or career specific questions because then they can just redirect you. Like they can just say, well, that's a question for career services centers. You can definitely talk to them about that. They can give you better information. Duh. You can't ask about their experience from their MBA because they might not have done an MBA or they might not have gone to the school where they're working at now. What can you ask them? All right. Here's the second hack of this video. And you're going to, hopefully you thank me for this. And I thank you for sticking with me for so long. I know these are long videos, but it's good. It's good. What do you need to ask adcoms? Adcoms, you want to ask them something like this. Ask them, where can you direct me to like volunteering services on campus? Where can I volunteer like to help out on campus? Is there like, can I help out at the cafeteria? Can I help out at the library? Or like even just become a tutor Where should I go for that kind of information? Because one, that's information that you will rarely find online on their websites. Okay, and you want to show that you've done your homework. So yeah, remember, you can't ask about schools, you can't ask about their program, or you can't ask about their course, because you should know that by heart. But also, you're showing this desire, this willingness to contribute to the school, to give back to the school, to be part of the school. Another thing that you're showing is that you really want to meet people. You want to meet new people. You want to meet as many people on campus as possible, be it undergrad, be it MBA, be it executive programs, it doesn't matter. You just want to interact with people from that school. Okay, that's what you're showing by asking them this. Second type of question you can say is also the following. What would be your advice on starting a new forum, or a new group, or a new club here? How would I go about doing something like that? I'm very interested in becoming, being an integral part of the community. That's again another way to show your willingness and desire to be an active part on the community, on the campus, in the community. It's another way of you showing initiative, of wanting to create a new club, something that's going to continue further the engagement of the students at the school of your choice. So those are two great questions you can ask adcom members that they will all be definitely want to help you out in that sense. A third question that you can ask adcom is something somewhat personal. I mean, not personal in the sense of about their life, but you can ask them, what kind of tips can you give me as a first comer into the city? Because I know you live around here, you probably live nearby. I love Italian food. I love food in general. And I would love to know your take on where I can get the best pasta, where I can get the best Japanese food, Japanese cuisine, and where and maybe one or two of the best bars around here. Just so that when I first arrive, if I get accepted, when I first arrive here, I'm not always ordering Domino's pizza, or Little Caesars pizza. I don't even know if they exist anymore, but still. I don't want to have to go to the shopping mall all the time to eat food. Could you point me to the right direction? You can even ask them about housing. Okay, housing. You can ask them. What's the best location for housing for a family of, one? I mean, like of three. My wife is planning to come with me with our child, and in the event I am accepted, I would love to have some tips on neighborhoods. Okay, I do want to contact real estate agencies here, but I would love your opinion. Someone who lives around. What are the nicer neighborhoods for someone with a 4-year-old child? Or what is a great neighborhood for someone who's single and who's just, who really wants to be an active participant in the community work, or in, just off-campus activities, extracurricular activities with other single students. Okay, you don't want to just explicitly say, okay, where are the best places where I can party and get drunk? Not like that. All right. But be suave about it. But those are the three types of questions that you can ask adcom. You should ask adcom, because those are pretty cool questions that you can't find. Because if you ask about classes, that means you didn't do your homework. If you ask about career stuff, they're gonna tell you, you should go to the Career Services Center. You can even ask something like, what percentage of alumni in my line of work has actually been successful in their future goals, which are similar to mine? That's good, but then again, like I said, if that interviewer is not really keen on knowing the statistics of who's been successful and who hasn't, then you're kind of in trouble there. You kind of get a blank answer. And you don't want that. You want to make sure that you have a conversation going. So there you have it. Those are the questions that you should ask. Whenever they say, do you have any questions for me? You say, yes, I do. I'd like to know more. All right? That's how you ask them. If you have any other questions about this, send me an email. I'll try to help you out as best as possible as well. Climb the mountain.